Okay, this video is a continuation of document type definition. We're going to talk about some added features and some efficiencies, I guess, that you can bring to how you create your document type definitions and how your users can use those definitions. We've already learned about built-in entities. If you remember, they look something like this. This would be our when we want to use a ampersand, we need to use this less than sign, greater than, quote, and apostrophe. Again, with those entities or built-in entities, those designations are there because the XML specification and the parsers, they need to use those symbols to do basically XML tasks and the language itself. So those are sort of reserved symbols, if you will. So we've already looked at entities a little bit, but now we're going to look more closely at what are called general and parameter entities that you can use in your DTDs. We're going to look at general entities first, and all this, a lot of this happens actually inside the .xml document, but as well as the .ddt document too. So we'll look at general entities, and there's two different kinds you can do. You can do internal, or you can do external. Internal general entities are used in XML documents, and they act as basically shortcuts. That's how Goldberg refers to them, and I think it's a handy way to think about them. Again, shortcuts are sort of new efficiencies you can bring to your XML workflow. Basically, it helps authors of XML documents by not requiring them to re-enter repeating data or long sections of data. There are parsed and there are unparsed entities, and we're only, for the purpose of this course, only going to look at parsed general entities. Okay, so to create one, basically you're going to have this is just a little example here, your definition that would be inside of your document type definition, and then you're going to have your actual XML document. So basically what you're trying to do here, and I'm just going to do a carriage return so we can see all of this in the screen here. We have an element, and the element's called story, and we have a lot of text in here. And as you know, this is an example taken right out of the book, and all the examples in the book more or less center around this ancient wonders of the world sort of example that he uses. And there are going to be times where you're going to have long sections of text that, rather than to have to key them back in every time, or even copying and pasting, which would also get laborious, there's a way of just basically adding a little code, if you will, or a shortcut that says to the parser that when you see this code here, I want you to go out and grab whatever text I've designated that's linked to that code and essentially put it in here. Again, it's just it's a nice sort of way to, when you have repeating text, this is all unique in my opinion, but you might have, say, a name, whatever specific to sort of organization you work in. There's always those things that might be repeating, and rather than have to type them again, you can just use this code. So how you do that is that you're going to do an ampersand. Again, here we're looking at some XML language specification where we need to keep that reserved, so that's why we need to use the built-in entity. As I mentioned before, we can't use that. So anyways, ampersand, and then whatever the actual shortcut code is going to be, in this case it's wow, W-O-W, and then in order to tell the parser that this code is finished, we use a semicolon. And when the parser sees that, it essentially goes out to wherever the document type definition is, looks for it, and then here's how we've defined it. Again, it's that DDT, that very kind of peculiar syntax. We do less than sign, exclamation mark, entity, space. Watch your spaces with DTDs. It's easy to, you know, think there's a space in there and there's not, and spaces do matter. And then you add your shortcut name, you know, the code or the name here with you don't need to put any symbols or anything around, it's just the code itself. And then another space, and then here you're going to have your wonders of the world, and you want to make sure, again, those are straight up and down quotation marks. I've been doing a little copy and pasting here, and those will sneak in there, and I guarantee you, I've had it happen to me, they'll come and bite you. You'll be staring at something for hopefully not hours, but I've done it, unfortunately, but you'll be staring at it, and it's like, I know this is right, there's nothing wrong with this, but you'll look, and eventually, hopefully you find it before too long, you've got an angled one of those guys in there, and they're an angled quotation mark. So anyways, just watch those. So the text that you want to be placed in here, that goes inside the quotation marks, and then again a greater than sign, and you're done. You've created your entity. And so anyways, and you can have multiple entities. They can be internal or external. So let's look at a more real-life example. We're going to get into, these are the actual ones from the book. And here we have the XML document, and then here we have the DDT document. In here, there's a lot going on, so you kind of have to look at it for a little bit, but where he's used it is in story. And as you can see, he does not use carriage returns, which I like personally, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but trying to pretty up text doing something like this so that the XML document itself looks good is kind of a bad habit to get into. It's just a bad habit, because basically the XML is really just data, and we're going to allow the XSLT file later on when we learn about that. That'll do all the formatting, and then if you don't have any formatting on that, the browser itself will format it for you. If it goes out too far, like if you're looking at it on an iPad or like an iPhone or whatever, the browser or the viewing application just knows to wrap the text. So there's no need to do that, even though it seems a little funny to look at it in here, but it does make it hard to find in this example where our I lost it here. Wait a minute, we need to go down. Maybe it's in here. Alright, where's our wow? There he is. Okay, wow's all the way out here, Wonders of the World, and it's in the, I don't know, the third or fourth story that he uses. Anyways, he can put that in there, all the way out there, and then what happens is the parser goes to the DTD document, looks for entity, and here indeed it's been defined, and it can be used right inside the XML document.